Today we're going to be talking about combining like terms. Our learning goal is to simplify expressions with integers by combining like terms. So we've already talked about this when we subtracted integers, that parts of an algebraic expression are called the terms, and like terms are ones that have the exact same variable. So that's really important. We're going to be looking at the same variable, including constants do not have a variable, so constants are also like terms. So here's an example that's done for you. 9x and negative x, they are like terms because they both have an x. And then negative 2 and positive 7, they are like terms. The easiest way to do like terms is to shape code like we did when we did positives and negatives. So in part B, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. The terms would be 9x, negative 2. Notice the negative belongs to the 2, 7, and negative x. And the ones that are alike are 9x and negative x, and then negative 2 and 7 are alike because they do not have a variable. So now we're looking at part B. So my terms is just a list. So z squared is one term. 5z is one term. It's positive, so we don't have to put the plus. Negative 3z squared is one term, and then plain old z is one term. And now we need to figure out which ones are like terms. So I'm going to start with my variables. So I have x squared, I'm sorry, z. I have z squared, and I look, and it has to have the exact same exponent too. So z and z squared are not like terms. So two of my like terms are z squared and negative 3z squared. And my other like terms would be positive 5, so 5z and positive z. Now we're going to talk about how to put them together. So when you combine, we're just going to be adding the ones together that have the same variables. So you can see a couple of these examples are done for you. On this one, 2x and 6x are like terms because they both have an x. And then 4 and negative 1 are like terms because they both do not have a variable. So notice that we can add together the 2x plus the 6x, and 2 plus 6 is 8. When we're combining terms, we just add the coefficients. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. We cannot put 8x and 3 together because they're not like terms. So our final answer for that first example is 8x plus 3. Then the next example, 10x minus 15x, they are like terms because they're both x's. We don't have any terms that are not like terms, so I just combine those. Remember, 10 and a negative 15, if I have positive 10, that means I would go to the right 10, and then negative 15, I would go back to the left 15, and I would get negative 5. Or you can remember that since one's negative and one's positive, they'll cancel out. So we subtract them. So 15 minus 10 is 5, and there are more negatives, so it's negative 5. Now we're going to work out this next one. So I have 3y, and then my other like term is negative y because they both have the same variable. So I have 3y and negative y. And remember, whenever you have a number with no variable or no coefficient, the coefficient is always a 1. So I have 3y and negative 1y. So 3y and negative 1y, they are opposites. So they cancel out. So I will get 2y and positives win. So that's a positive 2y. But then my positive 5 and my negative 8 are also like terms. So I have 5 and negative 8. They're also opposite, so they cancel out. 3 will survive after they cancel out. And the answer there is going to be a negative because there's more negatives. So we could say that is 3y minus 3, or we could say that is 3y plus negative 3. Both are correct. Sorry, my signs went together there. That is 3y. I'm just going to go over it. 2y plus negative 3. And now this one has two variables. So variables don't go together if they're not the same. Notice this is an m and this is an m. So 2m and 3m are like terms. And 2m's plus 3m's is 5m's. And then I also have my n's. So the n's go together. So I have a negative 1n and negative 4n, and negative 1n's plus negative 4n's is negative 5n. So I cannot add those together, so I just list them beside each other. 5m minus 5n. Here's our next one that we're doing together. I have negative 9z minus 8, sorry, negative 9v minus 8v plus 1. So I'm going to put a circle around my variable terms. I have negative 9v minus 8v. And when I add them together, they're both negative, so I get 17. And they're both negative, so that is a negative 17v. But now my 1 doesn't have any terms that go with it. It doesn't have any constant, so I just bring down the plus 1. So that would be simplified to negative 17v plus 1. And then this one's already done for you. It's reminding you about the exponents again. So z squared, so z squared and negative 6z squared are like terms because they're both z squared. So this is 1z squared and negative 6z squared. So they cancel out. We get negative 5z squared. And then 3z doesn't have any like terms because there's no other z's with no coefficient. So we get negative 5z squared plus 3z. Now try the error analysis question and check your answer with the Edpuzzle. You may hear the word simplest form. So an algebraic expression is in its simplest form when there are no more like terms because you've put them together and there are no parentheses. So our next example, we have some fractions. We do fractions the exact same way. We just have to use our fraction skills. So I look at my variables. I have 3/4 y. So I have 3/4 y. And then minus 1/2 y, minus 1/2 y. Sorry, that looks like an x, that's a y. So my fraction rule is a common denominator. So my common denominator between 4 and 2 is 2. I'm sorry, is 4. My common denominator between 4 and 2 is 4. So here I would have to do 4 times 1 to get 4, 3 times 1 to get 3. It stayed the same. And it keeps its y. So here, I would do 2 times 2. Let me erase that and make that look better. Sorry about that mistake again. So I would do 2 times 2 to get to 4. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top, and I would do negative 1 times 2 to get to negative 2. Now I add my numerators. 3 plus negative 2 is positive 1, so I will get 1/4 y. And now I need to look at my constant terms. So I have positive 12 and negative 6. So I have 12, negative 6. They will cancel out. So I'll have 6 left over, and there are more positives. So when that is simplest form, it will be 1/4 y minus 6. Now try the last 3 examples and check your answers with the Edpuzzle. Then you'll be ready to practice.